Just you wait. The stingray thinks he's safe from the orca, but he'll soon find out why orcas are the most cunning predator of the ocean. Slam! No, it didn't kill the stingray, it just knocked it unconscious. But this is only one out of dozens of examples. Take the seal for example. Killer whales almost never hunt alone. When it comes to hunting seals on the ice, they usually need to band together if they want to eat for the day. The orca will rise above the water to see where the prey is. Now that they have the location, they can start devising their plan of attack. The orcas would start moving below the surface of the water with unexplainable speed, aiming to create a wave. The wave would then tip the ice shard, and the unsuspecting seal immediately falls into the water. This is pretty much game over. They'll do this several times in a row until the entire group or the pod is fed. When it comes to sharks, the methodology is pretty straightforward. Just like a lion hunts down helpless prey, so too do killer whales hunt down sharks. They'll soon surround the predatory fish, and when there's no possibility of escaping, they strike. Their go-to strategy is to grab hold of the shark and hold it upside down in the water. Shortly after, tonic immobility sets in and the shark is paralyzed. It can neither move nor breathe. The blow is deadly, and the first thing they bite off is the pectoral fin. This will open the body cavity and uncover the liver of the shark, which is full of nutrients. Like a surgeon with a scalpel, the orca will eat only the liver and leave the rest of the shark's body intact. Throughout the millennia, sharks have become wary of orcas. If a shark sees a killer whale, or worse yet, a group of killer whales, it will immediately smash that like button just like you should do if you haven't done so already. But no, in all seriousness, the shark will retreat and avoid hunting on that territory for an entire year. Orcas are also famous for attacking other whales, and this has got to be the saddest thing to watch. The giant creature is cornered by more than a dozen killer whales and ripped to pieces as everyone is trying to get the necessary food and energy for the next hunt. How intelligent, merciless, and cool are these animals to watch? Now let's share with you some cool and fun facts about the #1 apex predator of the ocean. Their name is derived from the Roman Orcanus, which means of the kingdom of the dead, or belonging to Orcas. Who's Orcas? Well, that's the god of the underworld, the Punisher. So in ancient times, it was believed that these whales belonged to the god of death, presumably because of their vicious hunting instinct. Some sailors referred to them as blackfish, but the name didn't catch on. As for the orcas, the males can reach a length of between 20 to 26 feet and weigh an astonishing 6 tons. The females are generally smaller, and their overall length is between 16 and 23 feet, while weighing 3 or 4 tons. Killer whales have been seen in all oceans of the world. Even though they're present in tropical and subtropical water, they're most commonly seen in cold water around Antarctica, Alaska, and Norway. Orcas have a distinctive black and white body, with most of the upper side being black and the underbelly being white. For orcas, the lower jaw is white, and the white spot stretches all the way to the genital area. The males and females have different color patterns, and there are even cases of albinism, meaning the whale was fully white, or cases of melanism, in which the orcas are fully black. Another distinctive feature between the males and the females is their dorsal fins. This is a classic case of sexual dimorphism in which the dorsal fin of the male is about 6 feet, while the female dorsal fin is only half of that. Their distinctive hunting behavior is enhanced by the orca's great vision, both above and below the water, impeccable hearing, and a decent sense of touch. And it's precisely this hunting behavior that has perplexed marine biologists. They can't seem to understand how an aquatic creature, as well as the entire pod, can develop such complex hunting tactics for the different prey they encounter in the ocean. To understand this, we'll have a look at how the orcas behave as well as study the role a hierarchy of power plays among members of a pod. Pods are oriented around one of their most important members, the grandmother. Because the whole pod is dependent on the knowledge of the grandmother for survival, we can safely claim that orca whale pods represent a matriarchy. Since the females, or in this case the grandmothers, can live up to 80 years, while males only live up to 30, the grandmother is regarded as the smartest and most experienced in the group. Everything begins in infancy. The grandmother is the firstborn to her mother's family group. As she matures, the future grandmother realizes that her group has a special set of rules, and they all revolve around the grandmother. Early on, the female infant orca is clear on the role each member plays in the pod. By the way, it's important to note that the pod does pretty much everything together. Hunting, playing, and communicating through an intricate array of sounds is a group effort. The sons and daughters spend their entire lives with the mother's family. Aside from the close family relations, they interact with other nearby pods. This means that apart from their unique set of calls and sounds, the pod develops other wailing sounds which can be used for inter-pod communications. This way, they can communicate using a common language and use it to socialize with other groups. During these times of socialization, the females who are 15 years old use the interaction as a mating opportunity. Once the mating ritual is complete, the loving couple doesn't stay together. Instead, the mother and the calves join the grandmother, and the father rejoins his pod from before. As you can see, this is very different from what humans usually do. Similarly to humans though, female orcas experience menopause. They might not get hot during menopause like humans, but they go through it around the age of 40. Before menopause, the orca female gets pregnant every 6 years after the age of 15. This is not the norm in the animal kingdom. In fact, it's so rare that it's considered a miracle. Only humans, killer whales, only a few other species of whales go through menopause. The exact reason for this is unknown, but some experts say it's because this way, the grandmother leaves her sons to impregnate young females from other groups, preserve the species, but have other pods take care of the calves, since they always stay with their mothers. This way, the grandmother doesn't have to worry about feeding her family on the diminishing number of salmon in the ocean. After menopause, the grandmothers will start hunting for salmon. They're responsible for leading the group to the most fertile hunting grounds, as well as sharing about 80% of their catch with the group. Salmon is the orca's primary food source, but they can only track them during spawning season. When they can't get to salmon in the wild, they'll settle for eating other fish, some of which we discussed at the beginning. Now, because salmon overfishing has been destroying entire ecosystems of salmon, the orca's primary food source was diminishing as a direct result. This is where the expertise of the grandmother plays a vital role in the survival of the pod. A lack of food is the main threat to killer whales. If there isn't enough food to go around, their rate of reproduction decreases. Couple this with increased mortality rates due to starvation, and we've got a recipe for disaster. Another threat menacing orca whales is entanglement. When the killer whale gets entangled in fishing gear, they drag and swim with it for a prolonged period of time. If this persists, the killer whale will either be unable to move or grow tired of swimming. This reduces their hunting and therefore feeding ability. And we already talked about the dangers of decreased food. The third threat for the orca population has to be the presence of ships and strong sounds. Loud noise, whether from industrial cargo ships or military activities, directly disturbs the orcas' communication. If they can't communicate, they cannot hunt, they cannot orient themselves, and have to expel greater energy. The final threat is contaminated water from industrial activities and oil spills. So, as you can see, from diminished salmon populations for feeding to oil spills and contaminated waters, the orca is under constant threat. If we don't do something, and quickly, we could see them disappear off the face of this earth soon. If you enjoyed this video, you'll like the next one. This is Koala with Koality Content. See you soon. YouTube thinks that you should watch this video next according to your preferences.